Welcome to episode 54 of Imperial Advisor. Today it's just myself and Justin, and we are going to be going through the Bonds of Blood pack. So this is the second set in the Inheritance cycle. It is a super interesting pack because we should have all the elemental locked cards, not necessarily all the Keeper and Seeker cards. And also this will be the pack that is the last pack that's going to be legal for Gen Con and for the big tournament in Poland. All right, so let's kick into it because we know how these go. All right, the first card we have is Dishonorable Assault. This is a 4-province strength line province. It is a fire element. It's a battlefield and it has action. During a conflict with this province, discard one or more cards from your hand. Choose an equal number of attacking characters. Dishonor each of those characters. It seems pretty good. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I like it a lot. To start with, it's a fire province, which is one of the weaker provinces now for the row. I mean, I think every other element really at this stage has something fairly stand out. Maybe water is another element that isn't so great. But anyway, fire, like basically people running Meditations of the Tao almost as a default. So this can replace that, and the ability on Dishonorable Assault synergizes with a whole bunch of things that I want to be doing. So that immediately is super, super good. So to start with, it allows you to discard cards from your hand. And one of Lion's new focuses is on having fewer cards in hand than an opponent. So Dishonorable Assault allows you to potentially go into or start a conflict with maybe even more cards than an opponent, but very, very quickly drop yourself below the magic number, which switches on a bunch of your other cards. It also dishonors characters. That can be kind of hit and miss. Like, it's going to be super, super good against Crane and Phoenix. It's probably going to be less good against Unicorn and Crab. But even among Unicorn and Crab characters, you're still probably going to be hitting a few and dropping their skill. So Dishonorable Assault helps protect itself. And as a kicker, those characters will, well, for a start, they'll remain dishonored. And if they're leaving play on if they're leaving play on that turn, they will be hitting their opponent for honor. And given that Lion are also in a situation where they want to be bidding low, they may be putting pressure on an opponent's honor almost from the first turn. So this really synergizes with an awful lot of things that Lion want to be doing. So I think it's really an excellent addition to their province lineup.
Sounds like you pretty much covered everything. Yeah, because every card is a potential court games. That's pretty amazing, really.
Way of the Scorpion, actually, because you can pick who you want to get. You can pick who you want to dishonor.
That's true,
and it's even better than Way of the Scorpion because you can dishonor Scorpion characters.
Yeah, so I mean, it's actually got a really good chance of saving itself, and it has a lasting effect on the game, which are definitely two things I look for when I'm looking at provinces.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose one of the more immediate comparisons would be to something like Shameful Display, and this is maybe not quite as good as Shameful Display, although it can defend itself without presence. So maybe that's a point in its favor. But discarding cards for dishonor effect, yeah, I mean, I think you could probably compare it to Shameful Display, and this may come out slightly behind, but Shameful Display is one of the best provinces in the game still. So yeah, that's a huge plus, especially getting an upgrade in the fire slot, which is one of the worst province slots at the moment. So yeah, super thumbs up for this.
Cool, nice boost for Lion. Next card we have, a little bit fadey here, is a Untamed Step. So this is a new province for the Unicorn. It is an Earth province. It has province strength 6. Action, during a conflict of this province, choose another unbroken province, turn that province face down. So Unicorn have a few different decks at the moment. One of the ones that they have a province row with Border Fortress, Khans Ordu, and Rally to the Cause. So essentially, if you hit any 3 of those provinces, you're going to be hitting into a military conflict. This works with that. So again, if any of those provinces have been revealed, you can turn that province face down and then maybe move them back in again. or if you've got your talisman, yeah, you could move people around, or the other way around, you can move them into the Untamed step if you're trying to move people away. I don't know. I think this has got a decent amount of play. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it very much depends on having talisman. Without talisman, then just they can randomly pick the one province you don't want them to go into, and all of a sudden your plan can fall apart very quickly. But that said, with talisman, you can bounce people around into all sorts of irritating positions, and yeah, just keep resetting conflicts to to military or political potentially, if that suits you. Just bouncing them into rally.
True.
And yeah, with constantly flipping them down. 6 province strength. That's not nothing to break. I mean, anyone who's been in a position where they have to try and break pilgrimage, for example, knows just exactly how painful that can be, and having to reach another province strength on top of that is pretty bad. So yeah, I mean, it's a very, very specific setup. But that said, for certain decks, like for out and out blitz decks that simply want to focus on military at the expense of everything else, then yeah, it seems at least playable, at least worth at least worth trying.
Yeah, and look, we've been focusing on those Ride to the Cause and Cans Ordu because obviously those are pretty cool ways that you can go. But this setup is something that Unicorn might expand into with different provinces. So I've been having a lot of fun with Illustrious Forge lately, and Untamed Step, Illustrious Forge, and Border Fortress are going to be able to reliably get me an extra card every turn, if that's what I want. If they hit the Illustrious Forge, I get my card. I then move them off to Untamed Step. That's got the 6 province strength. Reset the Illustrious Forge, or if they do it the other way around, I reset the Illustrious Forge and move them in to it, triggering it again. So stuff like that. Other options. I think now Unicorn have to seriously consider every on-reveal province that there is now that they've got these options. And I think that's something that was kind of drifting away because people certainly were avoiding the on-reveal provinces because after first attack, they're basically blank and useless. So it's interesting to see this element being explored. All right, let's move on to Festival of the Departed. Right, so this is a neutral province. It is Earth roll again. It is 4 province strength, keeper roll only, and festival. During conflicts at this province, characters cannot have their skills increased by the effects of event cards. Is this something you'll be playing, Justin?
Right, Festival of the Departed. No, I will not be playing it. Yeah. Okay, so the reason I won't be playing it is that you cannot get... So you're playing this card to stop what your opponent is doing, and you can't guarantee what your opponent is going to be playing before you sit down to play them. So if you're playing against someone, if you happen to play a Phoenix player, this card is going to work out fantastically for you. The Phoenix player will be looking at their supernatural storms in hand and shedding a quiet tear. If you run into, say, a dragon player or a crab player, they will be looking at all their attachments and going, well. So yeah, they'll be kind of shrugging, and then this will be a blank 4-strength province, which is just a terrible, terrible feeling.
Yeah.
So. Because of that, for me, it's a hard pass in pretty much all circumstances.
I think if you had a deck that didn't run skill boosts from event cards yourself, that might be something you consider, because all of a sudden you've got there are no negatives to you and there are only penalties to your opponent. But I'm not sure what that deck looks like. Like a deck that doesn't run Bonsai at the absolute minimum or doesn't have some sort of boost feels like a super, super rare thing. Maybe there's some sort of like Scorpion Poison deck might like it. So basically their focus is just on penalizing their opponent, and this means if it's on a stronghold and they're attacking into it, you're not able to get any of those easy boosts, so you just have to rely on the mauled and injured characters that you have on the board.
Yeah, potentially. Absolutely.
But yeah, you have to hunt for a deck for this.
I think so very much. And even in those situations, I think you'd still be looking at things like entrenched position. Like if you were playing Scorpion, you'd probably be looking at entrenched position in decks like that, which just gives you the guaranteed province strength boost.
Yeah.
And your poison or your debilitating cards will still work. So yeah, I just don't see a place for this as of yet, but you never know. Something could emerge in the future that makes this a worthy inclusion.
Yeah, and just a minor aside, this is a keeper role only province. Mm-hmm. These kind of provinces need to be extra good because they're pushing out. They need to push out whatever the best slot in that particular element is. If this was a seeker card, it doesn't need to push out the best one, it needs to push out the second best. So the competition for these keeper role only ones is always a lot higher than for the seeker or, a non keeper or seeker role only.
Yep, good point.
Let's move on. So this is Haruma Yoshino. This is a crab character. It is 4 cost, 3 military, 3 political, 2 glory. It is a Bushi Daimyo Scout. It is a disguised Bushi. It has action. During a military conflict in which this character is participating, choose a character card in the attacked province. That character contributes its printed military skill towards your side during the resolution of this conflict. So this is one of these the disguised characters. So the important thing about this is you can bring it into play and discard a non-unique Bushi that you have in play. The Bushi goes away, all their attachments and their fate will go on to Haruma Yoshino instead. And this character enters play ready. So if the Bushi that you were replacing is bowed, it doesn't make any difference. So you can often get a good double effect. And as we well know, Crab do like their attachments. So you can do a bunch of attachments on a 1-cost character. And when you overlay Yoshino, he'll get all that fate, he'll get all those attachments. Whatever the cost of the original character is considered to be a discount. So there's definitely some play with that. So the disguised element is certainly interesting, and the fact that it's Bushi, not all crab characters are Bushi. I know they've got a decent mix at the moment, but Bushi is one of the more common words out there, so this is a pretty good one to have. The action is quite interesting. If originally I thought it was defending only, because I saw it was a crab card. All crab cards are defending only, possibly with a sacrifice element to it. But in this case, the character is actually a little bit better on the offense, because you get to see what face-up characters there are, and then you're able to attack that. So if you're able to trigger that, you will get a bonus to your side during resolution. So that's quite interesting, because if you end up with no characters or all your characters bowed, you'll still retain that force bonus. It's not attached to anyone in particular. It doesn't go away if you've got no presence. The only way to get rid of it, as far as I can see, is to discard the character. Does that work? Choose a character. That character contributes to Prince Force during the resolution. So if the character is no longer there in the province, I don't believe it's going to contribute its skill towards the side. I actually don't know that. I actually don't know. What do you think?
I think the way you're reading it seems correct to me. Like the character contributes its printed military skill. Yeah, I would say that the character has to be there. If the character is no longer there, then it won't contribute.
Yeah. If you get into that situation, call a judge, I think.
Yeah, and John says if the character changes zone, though not province, it stops contributing.
Excellent. That's the judge we're going to call. So that means if your opponent is attacking and Yoshino is out or in a province, your opponent or the opponent of the crab should be attacking one of the other provinces. So try avoid ones with characters in them.
Or attack politically first.
True. Yep. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a sensible play a lot of the time. Do you have anything else to add on Yoshino?
Not really. I mean, I'm not sure he's quite as good as he looks. When I saw him originally, I was really quite impressed. But there are so many clans playing charge at the moment that you could you could wander and you could run into a province with the idea of, right, I'm going to use this character's military skill to boost my skill, and then they're just going to charge him into the conflict, costing you the action, getting the character into the conflict themselves. It could be a way of forcing a character to charge on the defense, which is not necessarily. But I think the big deal about him is disguised. Yeah. That's the real bonus. So yeah, no, he's decent. He's decent. I'm not sure he's amazing. I'm not sure, will he? Yeah, I mean he's good. He's good. He's just Straighten. So disguised is disguised.
We've known Straighten is a really good actor for a while, and actually it's important, as we'll see later on, that this doesn't actually straighten anyone. It's just he comes into play ready, so he doesn't actually.
Jesus.
We'll get to that. All right,
we will.
Let's see what's next. Oh, this is Kazuki Yukimi. So this is a dragon unique character. It's 3 cost, 3 military, 3 political, 1 glory, Bushi champion. Reaction: after you gain fate from a ring during a conflict in which this character is participating, the character cannot be chosen as a target of your opponent's triggered abilities until the end of the conflict. I think we briefly mentioned this in one of the earlier episodes, but the character is the Topaz champion, who appears in the introductory adventure. So all the players in the introduction RPG adventure are playing characters participating in the Topaz Championship, and this is the champion from the previous year. So I think if you look at her dagger is topaz colored, which we assume is a reference back to that. So a nice bit of a story element there. The ability is amazing. Like it's not bonkers crazy good, but there's if you manage to trigger it. So if you've gained fate from a ring during a conflict in which the character is participating, which does include scooping fate off of a ring when you declare as an attacker, because that's considered part of the conflict. Kazuki Yukimi is assigned at the same time as the fate is scooped, so that will trigger her. So she's not that hard to actually activate, and there's very few abilities that can be used against her at that point, which makes her a really, really scary immune tower. So she's not doing a lot to help you win the conflict, but she's making sure that your opponent can't mess up your day.
Yeah, she's almost the perfect tower candidate, really. She has immunity when attacking at least once per turn, and she's unique, which I think is a big deal because you have a chance when turning over provinces during your dynasty phase that you will flip another Yukimi, which you can then use to you can discard that Yukimi, put another fate on Yukimi, and keep your tower going for another turn. Like if she'd been a non-unique, I think she would have been much less impressive than she is, or at least she would have been somewhat less impressive than she is.
And we're starting to see some cards that can only be attached to or can be only played on unique characters as well. So that's
yeah, absolutely. And I believe swords, the clan swords will only they'll attach to any one of their characters, but do something extra spicy if they're attached to a champion. I believe
not for dragon yet, but.
Not for dragon yet, but
fingers
crossed. Fingers crossed, eventually dragon will get their ancestral sword, and Yukimi will be another champion. I think actually do the dragon have 3 different champions?
So we've got Sumiko, who is, I can't remember what, I think she might be Emerald or something weird like that. Yakuni obviously is champion. I think that's it.
Yeah.
And I think you can splash in Turi's a champion as well.
Turi, yeah. So you'd have, but he wouldn't be dragon. So
not yet.
Presumably, not yet. So presumably the ancestral sword would attach to him. But again, that's something to look out for down the road. Is just a very powerful weapon that you can attach to a character that's very, very hard to target or get rid of. That should have quite a powerful effect, presumably a dueling effect, and you have a character that can't be targeted. So she could become really, really scary.
Yeah.
A little bit further down the road. So
as John is pointing out in chat, Kuriko doesn't need to target. So yeah, you skip the fate, you react with Yukimi, the scorpion laugh at you and bow you. They can't target you after that though. That's nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a couple of interactions like that you need to be aware
Yeah.
of. So I think if you're going to play Yukimi, brush up on what targets, what doesn't. But yeah, fantastic character. Not crazy busted, but I think
not crazy busted.
She'll have a place. She'll have a place.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I think so.
Next in the line is a Kodo Kage. So this is a lion character. It is a 4 cost, 3 military, 4 political, 2 glory, Shigenja Void, immune to opponent's ring effects. Interrupt when another character would leave play, remove 1 fate from this character instead. So Justin, how do you feel about Kage becoming a lion?
Everything's going according. Everything's proceeding exactly as planned. This is what happened in the old story as well. Katie married Turi, then Turi basically got himself blacklisted, cast out, made Ronin, and she came back to the Phoenix and became the Master of Void. So I'm expecting, hoping at least that the story will follow the same trajectory. Worth noting as well that joining the Lion Clan makes you less glorious. If you lost 1 glory. But apart from that, she's same 3/4 stats, 4 fate. So 4 fate for 3/4 isn't bad at all. 2 glory is still pretty fine. She keeps immune to opponent's ring effects, which is amazing. Like, you would not believe how good that is.
And it catches people off guard because it's a small thing that you kind of forget of sometimes. And you're like, all right, I'll clear that last fate offer. No?
No, you won't. You will not. Yeah, it's and it's, if you want to be super, super technical about it, unless John corrects me, it's not that she can't be targeted by ring effects. She's just immune to them. So your opponent can go, I will void her, and you can go, fine, not remove anything. And they go, oh, can I change that? And just say, no. If you wanted to be super technical.
You wouldn't be wrong to do so. You definitely wouldn't.
You wouldn't be wrong. Like in a high stakes tournament, you might just hold them to their word.
But your glory might go from 3 to 2.
It might. It certainly would. And her ability is really interesting.
It's really good.
Yeah, it is. So it's pure value, and it's one of those things that rewards you the more that you put into it. Unless you combo with charge. Charge just gets more and more broken every single expansion.
Yep. We're going to see another card a little bit later on that also does similar.
There's similar things. So basically, it does, like, she does exactly what she says on the tin. If one of your characters is going to leave play, you can just take a fate off Kage to negate it. Oh, wow. So John's saying she can't be targeted by the rings at all. That makes her probably a great deal fairer, actually. So,
because if you're not able to do things, you shouldn't be doing things.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Back to the ability. It's very, very good. I mean, it's a tricky enough thing to use. Like, it's very much a tempo-based ability because you are losing a fate from her. So even if you do the standard thing of like buy a 4-cost character and put 2 fate on them, you're getting 1 activation from Kage. Then she's losing a fate herself. Then she's going away. Although, as we'll get to in a second, probably if you get 3 fate on her, it's super. Yeah, there are wrinkles that'll take place.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're, but again, so like you want to buy her with odd fate, is what we're saying.
As much fate as possible, because you want to use her ability as many times as you can, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think you do, but I think you want to buy in odd numbers. She's never going to get voided, so you don't have to do any maths there, or worry about opponents using the void ring to completely destroy your plans. And at 1 fate, she gets to save someone and then live herself, and at 3 fate, she gets to do that for 2 turns. We'll get to that actually probably now. So the trick with her is during the fate phase. One of the framework steps is that you remove characters that don't have any fate on them. So Kage can interrupt that. So basically that goes off, Kage interrupts it, and keeps the character in play. And then basically because that framework step ends, your other character stays in play, and then it gets to the point where you remove fate from characters that do have fate, except she's got no fate to remove, so both Kage and the character stick around. For that fate phase. So this is why you want odd. So if she's got 3 fate, for example, then you would save one, which costs her a fate. She'd lose a fate herself, and the next turn she would get to save someone else and hang around. So you want to buy her with odd fate wherever possible.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, like she works with charge targets. She works with spirit caller targets. So she can keep like a spirit caller target instead of the target getting put on the bottom of your deck. It'll stay in play, which is of questionable value.
Yeah, but it'll be bowed, and then it'll go back into the discard. So the reason you do that is so you can spirit caller
again next turn. Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got a Taturi or something like that, then you can spirit caller the Taturi. Kage can put him back in the discard. Next turn, spirit caller will get Taturi back again.
That's just looking at end of turn stuff, which is absolutely valid. But we also have to factor in that this denies kill as well.
It does.
So wave the crab. Yeah, that's nice. We'll keep them around a little bit longer. Kage says no.
Assassination, noble sacrifice, duel to the death. There's a lot of stuff that she shuts down. So
so this is a really good character. Interesting. That's the Shigenja. So is this enough to make Shigenja something playable for line? So obviously they've always had Spirit Caller. They never really had too much of a Shigenja focus otherwise. Well, I mean, there are a few in there.
There are, but I think
don't ask me to name any of them.
You need likewise, but you need a certain quality of character as well. Yeah. They have to be good enough to be worthy of a deck slot in and of themselves.
Well, I mean, right now, Kage and Spirit Caller certainly justify that.
It's absolutely a beginning. Like that is a very, very solid beginning, and they both synergize together as well, which is fantastic. Yeah. That's any like characters that help each other and that come in the same kind of keyword block like Shigenja or Bushi or Courtier or whatever. That's super good. Phoenix have shown the power of that with things like Supernatural Storm, where just more Shigenja equals more bonuses equals Dear God. So she's fantastic.
All right, let's see what we have next. Valiant Oathkeeper. So this is a Phoenix character. It's a 1 cost, 2 military, stop making faces. 1 cost, 2 military, 2 political, 1 glory Bushi. That is all.
Yeah.
1 cost, 2/2. Wow, the value. That is amazing value. I mean, normally a 2 cost is like a 1/2 or a 2/1. So like a 1 cost, 2/2 is pretty good.
Yeah, but normally the 2 cost 2/1s would have some kind of ability that would make them worth playing potentially.
You'd be surprised how few do.
Yes, some of them do.
They don't always see play. Yeah.
No, they don't. This is just not a. I don't know.
If it was a Shigenja.
If this was a Shigenja, it would be an automatic inclusion.
Okay.
But it's a Bushi, and honestly, if this was in another clan, I think it would be an automatic inclusion. Yeah. But it's in Phoenix, and
they hate their Bushi.
We kind of do. We kind of do hate our Bushi. If this was a courtier, it would have a place in the courtier deck. If it was Shigenja, it would have a place in the Shigenja deck.
You've got an entire Bushi family. They've been serving you for generations. In fact, aren't they in charge? Isn't your founder a Shiba?
Yeah. Oh, he bent the knee. He knew which side his bread was buttered on. The thing is, like, it just in order to play this, you need a Bushi deck, and you also that Bushi deck has to be good enough to give up everything else that the Phoenix offers. And at the moment, the Shigenja deck is so far above.
The Shigenja deck offers unlimited power, so
pretty much. That's
the baseline.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like the Valiant Oathkeeper, like it's also a character where having 2 glory for the first time would actually be a good thing. Just because with that, then you'd have purity. With purity of spirit, you could actually threaten, an average province with this character on its own, and that would be pretty good. But with 1 glory, you can kind of honor her up, and she's still not breaking anything. So it's yeah, maybe with the Sawamori Sado, but then you were going to be doing better things with the Sawamori Sado than pumping up a Valiant Oathkeeper, who may then just get assassinated. It's it's like she desperately wants a deck which doesn't exist yet, and apart from that, she's missing everything else that a Phoenix deck or a Phoenix character really needs to see competitive play at the moment.
I hear you. So what you're saying is, Tyler, print more Phoenix Bushi.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all for more good Phoenix Bushi. I'm all for that.
No, not necessarily good. Just we need to get enough.
That's it. Yeah, it's just a deeply mediocre card for what Phoenix are all about at the moment. I'm afraid.
Let's move on. All right, this is part of a Scorpion character. All right, so this is a 3-cost 2/3 Yogo Preserver. I have no idea what the glory is. I'm assuming it's 1, because 0 would be better. It is Shigenja and Air, and it says each dishonored character you control gains Sincerity. So Sincerity is when they leave play, you draw a card. And obviously with the Scorpion, getting Dishonored is a bit of a thing. There are multiple cards that they have that allow them to become Dishonored, and sometimes with Kyuden Bayushi, they're actively doing their best to get Dishonored. Card draw is great. I don't know. This seems like a decent character, but it's Shigenja. It's not a courtier, which I feel seems to be a bit of a focus at the moment for the Scorpion decks. What do you think, Justin, while we wait for John to tell us what our opinion is?
I think she's super. When you go through your average game, like at any given time, how many Dishonored Scorpion characters are on the board? Like it's generally 1, 2, sometimes even 3.
Yep.
On the other side of the board. So this is effectively card draw for dishonoring your own guys, which in turn allows you to bid low, which either pushes your opponent into a situation where they are under threat of being dishonored out themselves, or they also bid low to match your bid, and then you take an advantage in cards drawn, and you can push your board harder and push the game harder in a direction that you want.
Yeah.
So, it's just super good. Just super good.
And Scorpion often make their characters with minimal fate as well, so you tend to see a lot of characters coming in and leaving play quite quickly. This could become a bit of a card engine.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the few cards. If I were a Scorpion player, this is a card I would seriously consider investing fate in. The potential returns over the course of 2 to 3, maybe 3 turns is there's you could draw 4 or 5 cards from just this effect over the course of 3 turns. That's maybe kind of on the upper limit, but even so, it's that's almost a full entire turn's draw. That's well worth investing a few extra fate.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of a big impact over a game. All right, let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one we have is Benevolent Ambassador. This is a unicorn character. It is a 2-cost, 1 military, 2 political, 1 glory. It is a courtier. It has courtesy, so when this character leaves play, gain 1 fate. And reaction, after this character wins a conflict, you and your opponent each gain 1 honor. So with courtesy, you get 1 fate back. So it's not quite 1 cost, but it's kind of 1 cost. It's an investment that you're going to get back. It's not something you can guarantee with your stockbroker. The reaction is an interesting one. So I'm less of a fan of when a character wins a conflict actions on cheap characters, because sometimes you just want to, there's things you want to do, just throw away characters like defending to make sure you don't lose an honor or something like that. But this is you and your opponent each gain 1 honor, which kind of feeds in with the Yurt honor style, where you're trying to gain some honor, and you're using effects that also give your opponent honor, but if they're not actively trying to get 1 or 2 points ahead of you, you're hoping to cap out first. So that can be pretty good. So it looks like this is for maybe some sort of unicorn courtier honor deck. Is that something that can happen?
Yeah, they've been threatening it for a while, or at least usually in each cycle we see at least a couple of cards that support Unicorn honor running in some shape or form. And yeah, I mean, the ability isn't earth shattering, but it's one of those cards that, if this ever makes a deck, and if that deck is ever good, then this card is really good, because it accelerates your win scheme, or your win condition.
Yeah.
The 2 cost for a 1/2 doesn't feel super good, but you do get a bit of fate back when it leaves play.
It also interacts with one of the Battle Maidens. One of the Battle Maidens from the recent set. If your opponent gains honor, they get straighten. So that's an interesting interaction there.
So that's an interaction. It doesn't feel super powerful to me.
No, it doesn't.
I have to say. But I mean, again, we are still to see dedicated honor running decks that aren't just kind of gimmicks, really. And I don't know, this is a card that you stash away in anticipation of the day when those decks become a reality. At which point, this card is there, and it will 100% see play.
Yeah, there was a stage when Unicorniers was a thing and was the better deck, but right now the Unicorn decks are doing some serious face smashing, and they don't need to play around with side teams like Honor. They are well up there with the top tier decks at the moment, as far as I can see. Let's move on. Oh, okay. So this is Yutaku Rumaru. It is 5 cost, 4 military, 4 political, 3 glory unicorn character. It is Bushi, Cavalry, Battle Maiden, and Daimyo. Each honored character you control gets +1 glory. Each dishonored character you control gets -1 glory. Reaction: after this character wins a conflict, discard a card from your hand, choose another participating character, and honor that character. So, yeah, talk me through this one, Justin.
Okay, so one of the big knocks against the Battle Maidens in Unicorn have been that they have very, very high glory, but generally pretty mediocre stats. So if they get dishonored, they are effectively potatoed. They are turned into blanks for the most part. So the passive ability, Rumaru's passive ability means, okay, so each honored character you control gets +1 glory. So obviously Rumaru herself, for example, if she was honored, her glory would go up to 4, and she would become an 8/8, which is impressive.
Yep.
Each dishonored character you control gets -1 glory. So conversely, if Rumaru was dishonored, ordinarily she would be a 1/1 because she would subtract 3. But because she is dishonored, she has -1 glory, so she would only have 2 glory, so she'd be a 2/2. Still not an ideal situation, but yeah, but it is what it is. So she makes honoring much, much better for you. She makes dishonoring a little less painful, and her reaction allows you to honor another character that you control. And that will, of course, benefit from her +1 glory passive. So a 3 glory Battle Maiden, like a 3/2, 3 glory Battle Maiden, will suddenly become a 7/6. So that's pretty big. So the downside of Rumaru is her cost. 5 is an awful lot to be shelling out for 4/4 stats. 4/4 stats just aren't that impressive. They don't do a lot to win conflicts for you on her own.
Yeah.
So,
and if you don't have honored characters or way to honor up your characters, she's not doing anything. And
no,
she's not
contributing.
If it's not winning a conflict, her ability is not going to trigger either. So
yeah, 100%. I mean, she's basically what the Phoenix used to be. Is like, you gain all these amazing rewards for winning conflicts, but you just can't actually win a conflict. So yeah, into the binder with you. So, and I mean, the flip side is that if you cheat her into play, like through a charge or something like that, then you're charging a 4/4 who then asks you to discard another card to honor up another character, and then she leaves play. And that's not particularly impressive.
Yeah.
Because the other character has to be participating, which means the other character will probably be bowed. Yeah, she's just not very good.
Now, at the same time, She's a new addition to a line of battle maidens. So we've already seen a few other battle maidens who are decent stats but high glory. The last set we got a perfect cut, which is a +2 bonus military to a bushi, and then they honor up if they win that conflict. Phoenix also got Purity of Spirit with it.
Purity of Spirit, yeah.
So that was just straight honor up.
Straight, yeah. Just honor a bushi for the conflict, and then remove all their status tokens once the conflict ends.
Yeah. So we're maybe seeing a few easier ways to honor up bushi. Maybe that's the start of a deck. Again, I certainly don't think it's competing with what's up there, but the initial pieces are getting put together.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly not competing with like Charged Chagatai or anything like that. So and again, like it's something you very much have to build a deck around. You need pieces that support each other. So again, you're looking at a deck that kind of starts to introduce opportunity costs. Like maybe you don't hit the right cards at the right time, maybe you don't see things in the right order, etc., etc. And yeah, that can lead to a bit of feel bad. Whereas Charging Chagatai always feels good. So,
and if you're putting in poor cards with the idea of making them better by playing other cards,
yeah, it's that you're onto a loser straight away. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that, kids.
Who do we have next? All right, we're into the conflict side. So this is a crab event. It is 2 cost, Fury of the Damned, fire roll only. Action: during a conflict, choose any number of participating bushi characters you control. Double the base military skill of each of those characters until the end of the conflict. At the end of the conflict, sacrifice each of those characters. And this is 1 influence. So 2 cost is pretty chunky. It is fire roll only, which really, really limits it. It is bushi only. You can do it in a non-military conflict, but it's only going to affect base military skill. You can do it to as many characters as you have in the conflict, which is kind of cool. If you play a second one of these, you're going to get a double charge-like effect. A double way of the line-like effect. So if you've got a 4 base military skill, you play Fury of the Damned, they will go to 8. You play Fury of the Damned again, they will go to 16. Which is, if you've got a 2 or if you got 3 or 4 bushi attacking into your opponent's stronghold and 2 Fury of the Damned in hand, that's probably game unless they can stop you playing those somehow. This looks like a pretty amazing card. What do you think?
Yeah, for the right deck, I can absolutely see it. I mean, for a Lion deck with a horde of weenies, this is a finisher, very much so. Actually, the deck where this might see a ton of play is in the Unicorn Swarm deck that appears to be hovering on the horizon.
But yeah, if it's a swarm, you're getting pretty minor bonuses from all your characters. But I mean, at least you're getting them on all the characters with sacrifice.
Yeah, but the thing is, but if you're swarming at a stronghold with like 6 characters or something like that, even if they're 2 military each, that's still a 12 force bonus.
Like Cavalry Reserve in a bunch of bushi, and then Fury the Damned to go.
Cav Reserve, yeah, absolutely. Cav Reserve some guys in, and then hit Fury. I suppose the thing is, this is mainly a finisher card. Like, you do not want to be relying on this card or playing this card for the most part in your everyday kind of conflicts. Just because the sacrifice cost is is just incredibly high. Like, you want to be throwing this away. Well, you want to be playing this either at you want to be playing this on spuds that you don't care about, who are going to die regardless, or you want to be playing this at their stronghold when you're about to win the game.
Yeah, and if you don't win, then you've just lost.
You've just lost.
Wiping out your entire board.
you just wiped your board. And fire roll only. Yeah, I don't know. So
we have
the power is undeniable, but I think the Venn diagram of where this fits in is incredibly narrow.
Well, we have Gen Con and we have the big Polish event coming up. Oh, and there's a Sydney Kotai in there somewhere between that I always forget about, but also crucially important. So we've got some pretty big events happening. For that, Fury the Damned is going to be legal for Crane and just Crane, because everybody else has Air and Void primarily.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is this something that'll go into a Crane deck?
It totally could. but then that would be Crane with Crab Splash, which seems unlikely. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
It could. As I said, I think I think the Venn diagram is just a bit too punishing at the moment. And Crane are just going to be running. Crane will just be running Dragon or something like that. They'll just be running like the super efficient, cards that are good, as opposed to super flash cards that are WoW, which is unfortunately is kind of where Fury of the Damned falls.
Yeah,
super flash, but
is it? Do you think it's worth Crab picking a Firewall for this? 2 cost is chunky. 2 cost is expensive.
2 cost is a lot, and I don't think it plays into Crab just like to grind you out of the game.
They don't like going away, do they?
They're not big on the outright blitz, so I'm not sure that this would feature in. But that said, I mean, again, the Cooney Labs deck is always threatening to kind of appear.
True.
Cooney Labs Swarm, so maybe in something like that, I don't know. But for the time being, I just can't see a place where it fits.
Yeah. I mean, you did mention Unicorn before as an option, and they certainly like the fire rolls already.
They've got Jin.
Yeah. So
yeah,
pretty popular for them. All right, let's.
So they'll swarm you, Jin, and then I don't know. That work? Doesn't matter.
Speaking of the Crane, let's have a look at Arbiter of Authority. So this is a conflict character for the Crane. It is 2 cost, 0 military, 2 political, 2 glory. It is a courtier and a duelist. Action: during a conflict, initiate a political duel. Your opponent may dishonor his or her character to refuse a duel. Otherwise, resolve the duel, bow and move home the duel's loser. This seems like a pretty decent character. So the duel is downright amazing. Obviously, being able to refuse to get dishonored makes it a little weaker. That said, once you reach a critical mass of these duels, after the first one, your opponent can't refuse anymore. So this can make for a nice setup for a different duel. And, there's lots of effects, or not a lot, but there are some effects that the Crane have and are able to use. And, in fact, as a courtier, this character can use for shame as well. Otherwise, resolve the duel, bow and move home the duel's loser. So that is big. Obviously, bowing is amazing, but bowing and getting them out of the conflict,
it's a double whammy.
Yeah,
it really is.
Now, are you going to be able to win that duel with 2 politics? Maybe not. Maybe.
I think Crane have enough ways of.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to be looking at trying to honor up this character or get an extra fan down or something.
Asahina Artisan has been, sitting around there. I mean, it's like a 1 cost that gives +3 into politics. All of a sudden, the Arbiter becomes a monstrous duelist. At 5 political, this character is no joke, and that doesn't require a huge amount of investment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it's a conflict character, so it drops out of nowhere. It can be
drops out of nowhere. Yeah, drops out of nowhere. I mean, the thing is that you will almost guarantee you will have to find some way to pump the Arbiter stats, because if you're going for any kind of meaningful character, that character is almost certainly going to be bigger.
Yeah.
So you do have to have something else to make this work.
Often they're big military-wise, though, not necessarily political. So even just being 1 or 2 political points ahead of a tower that's like 50 military is absolutely achievable.
It is achievable, but in that case, you have to be able and willing to spend probably 4 honor, or either that or get into mind games. But I suppose that's part of where the Russian roulette of dueling kind of comes into the gambling. So yeah, I mean, if you come in and your opponent's got a one political military powerhouse, are you going to bid 4? Are you going to bid Are you going to bid 5? Are you going to bid 2? Are you going to bid 1? It's pretty interesting.
So if you drop this character down and lose the duel, you're still able to trigger it for Kayuden Kikita, which obviously means if you've lost it, you're bowed and at home.
Yep.
But is paying 3 cost, say, for a 2/4 next turn with a duel worth it?
Very situational.
Yeah.
still vulnerable to assassination, but
True, that's a big deal. And in fact,
which is a big deal. I mean, but it's obviously, and that's one of the knocks against this character as well. But it's a knock against every 2-cost character. Assassination is there.
But does that mean we should all be running assassination? It feels like the quality of 2-cost conflict characters specifically is definitely increasing.
It does. It absolutely does. Against that, the number of counterspells is also proliferating in the environment again. So you're always running a risk. Yeah, like I like the Arbiter.
Does it see a place in the current deck?
Oh,
maybe not.
Maybe not. But maybe not. Like there is a burden when, like, the Arbiter is rarely going to do it by itself or by himself. He's going to need a little help. If you've got a deck that can regularly provide that help, then the effect is so powerful. But if not, then probably better to stay away.
So
I think I'm disappointed by this guy more than...
We'll get into this a little bit more, but do you think the Steward of Law is going to start making a difference? With Steward of Law in place, your opponent cannot refuse the duel.
Well, yeah, and as we'll see with another card further down, Steward of Law could absolutely be making a comeback. Yeah, there are so many effects now that...
We're not quite there yet, but we will be.
Yeah, we're not down to that card yet. But yeah, I mean, Steward of Law could absolutely be making a comeback. Like, there are so many powerful effects in Crane now that give you an out. They give you the Dishonor out, and taking that out away gives you scope for some incredible power plays. So,
all right. So the next card we have, it's again Crane. This one's a void roll only. So this is a Crane attachment. It's 0 cost, +1 military, +1 political. Void roll only, as I said. The attached character gains the Bushi and Courtier traits. So this is a new name. What do you think of this?
It's decent. Like, a 0 cost +1/+1 is good. Like, it's worth taking a look at on that basis alone. Void roll only. Well, that's new. It's locked in. So, I mean, it really comes down to the additional ability, which is attached character gains the Bushi and Courtier traits. So I suppose what it does is it shores up if you've got a deck that revolves around Bushi and Courtier traits.
Yeah.
Again, like, for example, Crane, then it certainly shores up the numbers on those just to make your plays more reliable. Like, you can have, like, Doji Hataru can finally for shame someone. But I don't know. The question then arises: is it sufficiently powerful given how the game is kind of going at the moment? Like, every set, we seem to be hitting a situation now where, yeah, just the cards that make it in decks have to be a little more than kind of nice or cute. They have to be generally fucking bananas at this stage, and this is not a bananas card. So I don't know. It might work better for another clan, but I just don't see it making it in Crane.
So this, again, thinking about what we've got upcoming, this is currently legal for Dragon, Crab, Crane, Phoenix to play.
Yeah, Phoenix won't play it, I don't think.
I don't think Dragon will play it, at least not yet. There are some reasons to maybe play it later, but not for the upcoming events.
Yeah, so
probably not Crab.
No.
So the question really is whether Crane will play it or not. I mean, this is a non-restricted card, so Fine Katana and Ornate Fan are both fantastic cards. If you've got 2 new names down, you've essentially got a Fine Katana and an Ornate Fan, because you've got your +2/+2, but without the restriction requirement. So this might be a way to stack up characters if you've got other attachments along those lines, to maybe boost up your duelist.
Yeah.
It'll make your For Shame and whatever your Bushi related cards are maybe a little bit more reliable, but yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's
nice.
Fine. It's fine. Yeah.
One of the things to keep an eye on, though, if you are using it for attachments, and there is a Dragon attachment that requires Courtier later, there is a danger if your a new name gets let go, all of a sudden you're no longer You no longer have whatever trait you needed, and then your other attachment bounces off. So anyway, just a minor thing to keep an eye on. All right, next one we have...
That could be pretty major.
Here's one of the big cards of the pack. This is Duel to the Death.
Ugh.
So this is a Crane event. It is 1 cost. Action: during a conflict, initiate a military duel. Your opponent may dishonor his or her character to refuse a duel, otherwise resolve the duel. Discard the duel's loser. 3 influence. Yowza. So this is the point and click, you die. It's the finger of death for the Crane clan. They always have towers. They always instantly win all of their duels. We're always dishonored, or they've got a steward-in-law in play, so we can never refuse the duels. Do we just instantly die all the time? Is this what happens?
It's probably going to feel that way, but it does require a bit of setup. I think is the the only kind of the only solace is that it does require a bit of setup. So basically, again, it's going to have to target a dishonored character, because if you're in serious danger of losing this, you are going to refuse it automatically. You have to have a character who is bigger militarily than the character you want to kill. Not so difficult versus Scorpion. Could be a bit more difficult against Unicorn.
Yep.
But apart from that, you just point, click, boom.
So the drawback is they can only kill your best 3 characters. Yeah.
I think so, and it does take some work. Is it better than Noble Sacrifice? It's probably a little different, but it is terrifying to think of a world.
Why not
where
both?
I was just going to say it is a little terrifying to think of a world where both Noble Sacrifice and Duel to the Death could feature in the same deck. So this does make towering super, super risky against Crane.
But also super essential against Crane. Because if you don't tower and out-tower their towers...
Yeah, then they will just kill everything you own, probably.
So you need to be super small or super big. In between... No.
Yeah, and plus they've got Takamori as well, just shutting off your other dudes. Like, if you do have a tower that's bigger, just like buy a guy, just say, no, you can't. No attacking or defending for you this turn.
Is this just a brutal control deck? Like like this isn't the first time we've seen this. This is a kind of a classic Crane thing to suddenly spring a murder deck kill deck on us, clear the board, and then maybe gain 1 honor per turn from a bonsai garden, and then just keep murdering people until they eventually win.
It's certainly possible. I don't know. I think Crane. Well, I mean, but with their giant towers, they'll just go over and smash your provinces.
That's true. Yeah.
That's how they do. So yeah, it's a very, very powerful card. I mean, it's another card that Steward of Law may begin to feature in Crane decks again for.
This is the big incentive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now you've got Duel to the Death. You've got the previous guy whose name I've already forgotten.
Arbiter of Authority.
Yeah. You've got the Arbiter, you've got For Shame. So, I mean, that's potentially like 9 cards on your conflict side that Steward of Law interacts Arbiter, that Steward of Law interacts with directly for big cash prizes. So, yeah. We may well be seeing a whole new breed of Crane deck after this expansion, or after this pack releases.
So for splashing into underdecks, I know Dragon players have certainly considered it. The old Kakita-Muramoto rivalry continues.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it anywhere else? The trick is the setup. Like if you're not able to dishonor the target as well, then this is just a court games or a For Shame. It's not, unless you've got the 2-part setup. Yeah,
like it does require setup to really work effectively. For keeper decks, you could honestly see a package of 3 Duel to the Death and 3 Steward of Law just slotting into random keeper deck.
Yep.
That would be 12 influence worth of pain that you could drop on someone. Is that going to be worth it? Not as sure. But I don't know.
If you can back up that Steward of Law with the For Shames and enough courtiers to make that kind of side of things reliable, yeah, that could be strong. And
It could work.
There's nothing so the steward lot is restricted. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
So you'll be losing whatever nice shiny card you've been enjoying in your restricted pile.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, there's also support of the Crane potentially to consider. If you want to go full ham, if you want like 18 points to spend on Crane cards, then Duel to the Death, Steward of Law, Noble Sack, bring in the Arbiter. There's a lot of directions you could potentially go. But the question is that going to be worth what you're giving up for it? And I'm not sure it necessarily is. So I wouldn't expect to see this card too much outside Crane, but it's powerful enough to be worth it.
Yeah, we'll see some play in Dragon. I wonder if the Scorpion could put together some sort of package along these lines. I mean, they typically don't go for the big military guys, but they can.
They can, and they have no problem dishonoring people. So, yeah, I mean, Scorpion kind of dueling people to the death. I don't see it. It's not outside the realms of possibility. Right. And Scorpion do love a good murder. So
that's true. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of this. This will be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm expecting it to be good, great, amazing. I think, as you said at the very start, one of the things is when you get hit by it, you think it's bonkers. But I think when you play it and you're like, no, I can't quite get them to accept it. No, if I probably lose the duel if I do it that way. But yeah, you don't get to see when they don't have the setup ready yet. You only get to see the impact afterwards. All right, next in the list we have Nitini Pupil. So this is a dragon conflict character. It is 2 cost, 2 military, 2 politics, 1 glory. It is a Bushi and duelist. It is a water roll only. It has reaction. After honor dials are revealed for a duel, this character is involved, or for a duel that this character is involved in, double the character's base military and political skills until the end of the phase. So I have to admit, when I looked at this character initially, I wasn't particularly hype on it. 2 cost characters are not the kind of characters I want to be dueling with typically. And 1 influence. So this is definitely splashable if you want. Actually, it might be interesting in a Crane deck. But yeah, what was really interesting is that it's already set up and ready to go. So when you duel, after the dials are revealed, but before you count up the skills, you're doubling your base. So this is going to go to a 4 military and 4 politics. So that's a pretty decent dueling platform to start with. Much better than the Arbiter of Authority, for example. But obviously it doesn't have an innate duel to start out with. That said, after that duel is over, that politics and military is going to stick around. And it's not even till the end of the turn, it's till the end of the phase. So that's pretty cool. And with the Lion... Lion have a 1 cost attachment that starts a duel. For the life of me, it evades me for...
Oh, the Art of Kenjutsu? Is that the one?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it might not be exactly that. Something Kenjutsu.
Yeah. But that's based off base skills. So this is pretty good being able to use it with that. And if you want, you can drop Way of the Dragon on top and then get in 2 duels, trigger the Nitini Pupil's ability twice to become an 8/8. So I'm not sure if it's worthwhile. True Strike Kenjutsu. Thank you very much, John. I'm not sure if it's necessarily worth it because you're still running that terrible risk of having 2 cost on an assassination vulnerable target. But at the same time, if you're playing it in a keeper deck, you have your Defensive Honors, so you can drop down your Nitini Pupil. If your opponent tries to assassinate them then and they have a character in the conflict, you can try cancel a duel with your Defend Your Honor, and you're coming in with 4 military in that, which is a decent start. And obviously that gets worse the more you get to do. So I definitely want to try this character out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see. I'm not sure if it's going to work though. But yeah, those are the cards I'm going to try put it in. It's going to be a keeper deck with True Strike Kenjutsu and Way of the Dragons, and see if the opportunity to put all those together and have some fun turns up. All right, I'll move on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with everything you said.
I'm going to let you talk about... I'll read it out, but you have to explain Two Heavens technique because I'll be crying too much. It's a dragon attachment. It is 1 cost. It is +1 military, +0 politics. Technique. Attached to a Bushi character. While there are exactly 2 weapon attachments on attached character gains covert. So, run us through this.
Okay, so 1 fate cost for +1 +0, not great at all. Technique, whatever, attached to a Bushi character, restriction, but not a terrible one. So while there are exactly 2 weapon attachments on the attached character, the character to which Two Heavens technique is attached, the attached character gains covert. Covert is amazing and well worth chasing wherever possible. But this restriction of 2 weapons is surprisingly difficult. So for weapons, like we'll go with the dragon first. So dragon will have
Ancestral Daisho,
and Fine Katana. Ancestral also have Miramoto's Daisho or Miramoto Daisho, but Miramoto Daisho counts as 2 restricted cards on its own.
Not 2 restricted weapons. 2 restricted cards.
2 restricted cards. Yeah. So Miramoto's Daisho will not work on this. So if you want to make this work with a Miramoto's Daisho, you will also need to attach a non-restricted weapon, and I think there are exactly 2 of those, if even.
I think you're right. I know Pathfinder's Blade is 1.
Pathfinder's Blade is 1,
and is there then some crab sticky thing? Do they have like a stick or something?
There might be a pointy stick. But I'm not even sure if that's been released yet. I think that's in one of the upcoming packs. Yeah, so in one of the upcoming packs. And that's it. So you would have to splash in... So, I mean, to make this work, you would basically have to splash in weapons from another clan. And that's about where it kind of goes. So it's...
Once you take out Miramoto's Daisho as not a realistic option, Dragon actually have the fewest weapons of any clan.
Nice.
Yeah. This card would actually be more reliable in any other clan.
Every card is a riddle, Baz. It's just the Dragon way. Every card is a riddle, every card is a koan. You know, you're not meant to understand initially.
But it just always seems to spell FML. I don't understand what it means.
Yeah. It just keeps on coming up. Yeah, you basically have to splash in. We have to splash in weapons from another clan in order to make it viable. So the question then is which clan you splash those weapons in from, and then you have to ask, do I want to splash those weapons in, and is it worth it? What else am I giving up? And you will know far better than I, and I can already tell by the shake of your head, the glisten of tears in your eyes.
Yeah.
That
it's 2 weapons technique. It should be fundamental and core and everything we believe in. But you may as well just play the Tattooed Wanderer and you just get your covered straight away. So like one,
and you also get a 2/1 character into the bargain if you need it. So
like the perk on this is it's a non-restricted +1 military if that's what you're into.
It's not very impressive though.
It's
at
not.
1 fate.
It's I have to admit it's a very, very disappointing card. But you know, we could see a slew of weapons and a major weapon focus for Dragon down the line, and maybe this card will become a bit relevant. Oh, is John suggesting that Scorpion have less weapons? They do have more Shinobi than we have weapons, though. So their Infiltrator's Tools, which doesn't see play because it's too hard to play, is more reliable than Two Heavens technique. All right, I'm going to move on before I start crying.
Yeah.
Oh no! Forebear's Echoes.